What's up, party people? My name's Chris, and I'm a bookaholic. Okay, you know what? Today, I just simply want to give an idea of some of the books I'm probably going to explore during February. And it is, of course, a shorter month. And obviously, I'm not the fastest reader on the planet. I don't mind that. But I don't need to probably put undue expectations on myself. And that being said, though, there'll be a ridiculous amount of books that I'm going to pretend that I'll read in February. But we all know I'm not going to be able to get them read. And then actually, I'll probably read a number of these. But then there'll be a whole bunch of others that I don't even talk about because all of a sudden, squirrel. So it happens. If you watched any videos previous to this, you know it happens. It happens all the time for me. And even with books that I'm loving, I'll stop suddenly for some weird reason in the middle of a book and put it away for a couple months and then come back to it. I don't know why, but it happens. And my brain, somehow it works well enough where I can usually pick right up and remember exactly where I'm at and go after it. So it's not too big of a problem for me, but I do find that I enjoy it better when I do hustle through and kind of finish the book. But I am what I am. And that's all that I am. All right, so here's the truth. I'm going to talk first about some of the books that I've started that I'm intending to finish for February. Whatever. Here's the first. My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I can't figure out if I like this or not. Now, I should. It has a lot of stuff in here that I'm enjoying, but the girl drives me crazy. And I know I'm not alone. But the thing is that that's what you get when you have certain kind of stereotypical coming of age young people. They're going to have their angsty scenarios and their little bratty tendencies and their ridiculously disconnected, comments and their hatred and anger towards adults and a lot of tropes, right, that we're all familiar with. And honestly, it annoys the crap out of me. But I am enjoying this. And so it's a weird thing where I find myself irritated, but also enjoying it. And I think that Stephen Graham Jones, he already knows this. People have talked about it before. And honestly, it's getting me thinking and talking about something. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Like, you're supposed to feel like, I think sometimes in these books, like this person is a potential train wreck and they're going to get themselves into the wrong place at the wrong time and all sorts of horrible things are going to happen. And then it does. And then somehow, maybe they make it out without dying. But in this case, everybody seems to die. So, the truth is, this kind of takes that horror trope of, there's a bad person in the area and like these serial killing possibilities. And this one individual may have the keen understanding on what's going on. All the signs are there for complete calamity. And this character who's a little bit odd and on the outs and doesn't really fit in, which so many of us can relate to, is going to have to see if it's possible to battle the big bad. And again, there's a lot in here that I like. And because I do so much work and have over the years with youth, there's a lot of things about this that I feel like fit a real specific stereotype. And there are too many examples in the grand scheme of the way young people are that you just recognize this is a story and it's not meant to be a great photo, a picture of what's going on necessarily all across the high schools of America. So it's a story. So just enjoy it as a story or a whole bunch of people are going to die. Okay. So there's that. So that's one I'm finishing. Okay. I believe I'll finish it. Who knows? Here's my little religious kind of read for the year. No, for the month, for February. I should probably finish this by February. I'm about halfway through. It's by a guy named Father Donald Haggerty. I've read already one of his books on spiritual direction. He's very good. I've met this priest before. He signed my book for me, which is really kind of awesome. And in fact, I had all his books with me. I knew he was going to be at this place I was going to, and I basically, fangirled all over, this guy's writing abilities, and had him sign everything. And in fact, there was a book that I hadn't bought yet, and I ended up buying it just so he could sign it. So anyway, I like the way he writes. And so if you're the kind of person that looks for, like small little palette, I don't want to say palate cleansing, but they're like little palatable morsels that are very rich and deep. I think Haggerty's books do that. And if you look, you can kind of see that there's oftentimes a little break very regularly, so that you can stop after reading a paragraph, and it's a nice little morsel, and it's a good deep reflection. And this whole thing is on the idea of conversion, and that we all go through a variety of conversions and the need to go through a variety of conversions. So there you go. All right, so a couple other books that, first of all, these both I am currently reading. It's very realistic I should finish both of these by the time the month is done. Here's another one I'm currently reading and plowing through quite wonderfully. Boy's Life. And I've already mentioned this book before, but I really like this type of book. And again, coming-of-age books, you're going to have certain stereotypes and tropes, and these are little like vignettes and pictures of kind of small-town America or wherever. And with this book, there's a little bit of a horror element, a little bit of a mystery, what's going on, and I am really enjoying this. And so I do plan to see this one wrapped up, hopefully in the beginning of February, because this is kind of on my my hot reading pile right now. That sounds weird. My hot reading pile, whatever that means. And again, Needful Things. I'm probably, 3/4 of the way through here. Why am I not finishing it? I just don't know what is the matter with me, but I do like this. And honestly, at the end of this, I'll probably give it 5 stars, but I just stop and I start going after something else. But every time I pick it up and I read it, I'm like, I love this. And part of this is that, at the end of the day, you're looking at around 1,000 pages. And I think what happens is, I think to myself, I've only read a couple books. I need to read a smaller book to at least get a couple more books to talk about. I mean, it's weird to just talk about a couple books, for the month. So I pause this one, and then something happens, and I get super geeked about it, and then I plow through it. It's me. I got issues. I don't know what's going on, but it is what it is. And then the last 2 books, which I'm finishing, right, is Shadow of the Hyperion, which I've mentioned before, and I love. This should be done this month. I knew it was either going to be by the end of January or the beginning of February. We're reaching into February now because the Last War by Mike Shackle, that trilogy was taking up some time. And speaking of Shackle, this is the last book of the trilogy. I will be finishing this in February for sure. So that already though is 6 books, which is kind of what I normally get to, 6 to 8 books. So you recognize that in and of itself, finishing it, whatever, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but almost all of these I'm at least 3/4 or half of the way through, so I should be okay. So now I'm gonna bring up some of these books that are ridiculous, but I'm gonna pretend I'm gonna finish them. Okay. So because I mentioned at my end of January review this Thomas Sweaterlish, I am gonna try this tomorrow and tomorrow. Now here's my only concern. I'm worried this is gonna be a little bit too much like the Gone World, and so I'm hoping it's not. But I'm going to assume it's not, and I'm going to come at this with a little bit of more of a positive attitude. So that's that. I'm planning to read that. Oddly, why do I do this to myself? But I am going to try to read this, even though the name that shall not be named, wrote it. And I have a love-irritation relationship with this author. Some of you can relate. but I never read the short story version of this. This is just a repackaged, previously published short story that he embellished a bit. Good. I'm glad that he went after it and added some pages, and maybe that sparks a fire, but I'm not hoping for anything else. So I do think I'm going to go after this. I am hopeful that I'll like it, but if there's any book that's going to be delayed in me pursuing, it's going to be this one, for obvious reasons. And because I love watching YouTube, booktube videos just like you do, I was watching Brian Lee Durfee, and he was talking a little bit about Charles Frazier and some of the new books that he picked up, and I realized I have a number of Charles Frazier's book, of course, most known for Cold Mountain. But I am interested in this one, Nightwoods. It seems like it could be a very satisfying read. It's it looks like it's about half of Cold Mountain, maybe a third less than Cold Mountain. But I do want to go after this. So I don't know anything really about this except that there are trees on the cover. So and Brian Lee Durfee and we have a lot of things that I think that I like that he likes, and that he doesn't know who I am, but at the end of the day, I have a feeling if he likes it, enjoys it, I'll probably like it and enjoy it too, because we're like book buddies. He doesn't know who I am, so. This is weird. I'm embarrassed to bring this up. I did start this, okay? And I'm already 3 chapters in, and awkwardly, I kind of like it. I'm hesitant, but I'm going to show it to you. The Bookshop of Second Chances. And yes, I'm fairly confident this is basically a Hallmark romance movie put into a novel form. But I don't know why I started reading. I do, because there's books involved. So this lady, she's getting, or has gotten divorced, lost her job, and finds out that she got an inheritance from a family member that she barely knew in Scotland, and she's going to go there, and there's going to be books involved. And so that's kind of the simple idea and premise, and I haven't read much more than the 3 chapters, but all the stereotypes are there for a Harlequin, Hallmark Channel, romancy, kind of whatever, where, the angsty, probably irritable, rich, wealthy landowner is so, dysfunctional and argumentative and, uncharitable, and yet they're probably going to fall in love with each other and live happily ever after. Something stupid like that, but whatever, I can't help it. I'm probably going to read it. Currently, and I could have mentioned this earlier, but why? Why would I do that? Because, I'm bringing it up now. I'm probably about a quarter of the way through Deadly Assessments. This is the 5th book in Fred the Vampire, the Accountant series. What? There's nothing I can say except I love these books. I love the series. I blame Andrew over at Andrew's Wizardly Reads for this series. I don't know why you're not reading it. It is that good. And you know what? I'm going to read probably almost everything that Drew Hayes puts out. That's what's going to happen. And I'm okay with that. I'm not upset. I'm not bitter about it. I'm fairly satisfied. The only other book that I've read so far of his, besides these Fred the Vampire Accountants, is the NPC, I think is the name of it. And ultimately, kind of these D&D characters that don't really get much airtime, they kind of come into the forefront. So I thought that was enjoyable. It wasn't on par with my love for this series, but I have at least 4 to go, counting this one, so I'm pumped. All right, the last couple books. I'll go fast, okay? The Space Between Worlds. No idea. Multiverse travel, that kind of stuff. This is a little more science fiction-y. This is by Micah. Is it Micah or Micaiah Johnson? Well, I don't know. I don't know much about this, but kind of the brief that I had heard, sounded interesting. And I won't remember the kid. There was a young man out there talking a little bit about their love for this book, DJ Moles or Mollis. And A Harvest of Ash and Blood. I'm interested in exploring this. It's not realistic that I'm going to get to it in February, but here's pretending. A Harvest of Ash and Blood. What's the price of magic? This is going to be kind of interesting. So maybe. And the last two is a weird one. What you're looking for is in the library. Machiko Oyayama. This, I don't know. I have a problem. If there's books on the front of the cover of a book, I feel like I must probably own that. Because, my obsession with books doesn't just end with me having books. I have to have books that are about books. So, that's explaining probably a little bit of the insanity before you. Last, and I've already started this, and I'm plowing through it pretty good. All right. Of Darkness and Light, Book 2 of The Bound and the Broken. Hey, guess what? Yeah, I know this is a bit of a monster book, but last year, I think it was, I read the first in that series, and I loved it, Of Blood and Fire. And of course, I've read also The Fall, and I thought that was enjoyable, but it was Of Blood and Fire. That's the one. That, to me, I was like, okay, this is what I wanted. So, Of Darkness and Light, this to me works with this Last War saga. And what I mean by that is, like, it is satisfying a major, like, fantasy kind of vibe. Now, this is a little bit different. It's like that Asian fantasy kind of stuff. This is a little bit more classic, but modern. It seems a little weird, almost like a paradox, but it's not. This is phenomenal. I think so phenomenal. So I can't probably. I'm not going to say no to either of these two. I'll read everything they put out, even including their grocery list. So anyway, that's it. That's a lot. I know it's ridiculous. It's unrealistic. You're going to see probably for March me, continuing, probably at least half of these, and then a whole bunch of other ones that I'm going to go after. Talking Story over there. He's, he was talking a little bit about Emily St. John Mandel, and I loved Station 11. Well, he was doing a big hooting and hollering about how great this was. So, I'm like, oh, cool. Of course I got to read that now. Like, I'm doomed. If I keep watching, I'm going to need to buy another house, is what I'm trying to say, just to hold the books. I'm already at maximum capacity. At one point, I will show you the books in my library, but that will probably be about a 3-week video. Like, every day, hours. There are so many books in this house. I think my daughter counted once years ago that there's 20,000. Well, I can guarantee you we've been buying books since that. All right, that's it. I love this stuff, and I hope you do too.